Good afternoon, you wee bastards, and welcome back to War Thunder with Koala, and welcome back to another episode in this little series we've got going here, talking about corrections and suggestions for our current top tier vehicles. Today, we're talking about the Leopard 2A4. Don't worry, all you British fans, we'll be doing the Challenger one soon enough. And we're going to specifically discuss the rather controversial DM33 APFSDS shell. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, DM33 is identical to JM33, which the Type 90 in-game has, and similarly to the American M833 depleted uranium shell we discussed in the last video, it's the next logical ammunition choice for our current top tier vehicle. So, seeing as the shell is identical to JM33, or more accurately, JM33 is DM33, just the Japanese designation for it, we won't go into the shell's performance at all, just discuss why our current Leopard 2A4 doesn't have it, and how it possibly could in future. I'm also ignoring for the time being the imbalance at top tier right now, with the American teams being next to unbeatable, having two extremely powerful 10.0s and a great backup in the XM1, helicopters, multiple radar SPAA, and the FJ4B with air-to-ground missiles. I'm sure there are many German players asking for the DM33 for the Leopard 2 already to address this imbalance, but we're going to assume that in future all nations will have helicopters and all nations will have equivalents to the FJ4B. We'll also take into account my last video where I suggested the IPM1 being moved up to a battle rating of 10.3 with fixed armor and the M833 shell, and the previous video in the series on the Type 90, making that tank a 10.3 as well. That's kinda how this series is going to work. Every video builds off of all the previous ones, so if you haven't seen either of them, there'll be links in the description and on screen. Speaking of which, I've received some updated information about the Type 90, most of which coming from discussion in the comments of that video, which I thank you lads for. The armor may be a lot closer to accurate than I had stated in that video, but I still think that the tank is a viable 10.3, and it does still need some tweaks to the way its armor functions, as well as the dimensions being incorrect, something I didn't draw attention to in that video. The Type 90 wouldn't be any less capable or easier to kill at that battle rating than it is currently, and let's be honest, for that thing to face T62 M1s, Leopard 1 L44s, and the M60 Rise is just not balanced. 10.3 is indicative of its performance, I think, even with only slightly buffed protection and corrected dimensions, making it a little tougher to aim accurately at its weak spots. The JM33 shell has also been nerfed significantly since the tank's initial release to try and offset how OP it would otherwise be, and those nerfs can always be reversed when it does go up. I also want to do a video on the Leopard A1A1, addressing its stock grind problem and how we might go about fixing it. Shout out to the lad on my Discord responsible for that idea, you know who you are. So onto the Leopard 2A4. This tank was the most widely produced variant of the Leopard 2, and what you may not realise is that during its development time there were 4 different variations of the Leopard 2A4. These variations relate to the composite armour array and were named A, B, C and D technology armour. The A and B tech arrays were extremely similar, so for the sake of simplicity during this video, we're going to call them the same, just as we're going to call the C and D tech armors the same. Effectively, what you need to know is that the A and B tech were identical to earlier Leopard 2's armor, the Leopard 2A0, 2A1, 2A2, and 2A9. I'm just joking, 2A3. The other 2 armor technology options for the Leopard 2A4, the C and D tech armors, were much more effective, reaching almost 700mm of kinetic energy effectiveness on the turret and a bit lower on the hull, and over 1200mm effectiveness against heat. Those levels of protection make even the legendary M1A1 look like basically a cardboard box. The Leopard 2A4 we have currently in-game is using the B technology armor from 1985, which was tested by the Swedish in 1991, and the results match up almost perfectly with the tank we have in-game. The gun mantlet is missing a decent chunk of armor, around 50mm against kinetic and 150mm against chemical as far as I know, but the actual armor of the rest of the tank is very much accurate. This Leopard 2A4 also couldn't possibly have the DM33 shell, as that wasn't produced until 1987. It was in 1987 that the Leopard 2A4s were rolling off the production line fitted with C-Tech armor, giving them much more effective protection, and these Leopards would have had access to DM33 out of the box. And this tank, the Leopard 2A4 with C-Tech armor and the 550mm penetrating DM33, would be a 10.7 tank, sitting alongside the M1A1, T80U, and Challenger 2. While, as we've discussed, the IPM1 and Type 90, as well as the T80BV, could sit at 10.3. So that means that our current Leopard 2A4 has both accurate armour to a 1985 model and accurate shells, obviously lacking the shell that hadn't been invented yet. No issues, right? End video. It's about now that all of you history nerds in the audience will be frantically pointing out this. This is a collimator, and it was fitted to the end of the L44's barrel on Leopard 2A4s in 1994. While those less well-informed enthusiasts may be crying out that the Leopard 2A4 should have DM33, not understanding the 4 different armour variants, the real nerds who know about the time gap are still saying that even though we have a B-Tech Leopard, the collimator at the end of the barrel denotes it being from 1994, and therefore, yes, it could have DM33. Now obviously a B-Tech Leopard from 1985 could have fired DM33 if the shell were available, there's no mechanical reason it couldn't, but the tank certainly doesn't need the shell right now, just as the Abrams with M833. It's probably on par, if not above, the M1 in performance already. Once again, we're ignoring the helicopters and FJ4s unbalancing the teams. While only slightly below the IP model. Last patch, it was probably the best tank in the game, and it's certainly not underperforming right now. I've said that a C-Tech Leopard with a DM33 shell would be a balanced 10.7, and that the current Leopard with its accurate armour, sus the mantlet, and no DM33 is a balanced 10.0. But the collimator changes things a little. Number 1, Gaijin very specifically modelled this. They asked for a 1994 Leopard as a reference when creating their model. You may be thinking that, Koala, if it was 1994 when this was fitted, shouldn't the tank have C-Tech armour? And I originally thought the same, but no. A few B-Tech Leopards did also have this fitted, and it was one of these 5 tanks that Gaijin modelled our in-game tank on. Gaijin could have modelled an accurate 1985 Leopard 2A4, all they'd have to do is change that barrel tip, and then given us the 1987 C-Tech model at 10.7, and perhaps this is what should happen. Remove this funkiness from the barrel tip, leave everything as it is, and we've no issue. I actually have suggested that the Leopard 2A4 we have be renamed to Leopard 2A1. Obviously that mantlet still needs fixing either way, and the collimator needs removing, but nothing else about the tank changes in the slightest. This would be just to avoid the confusion when the 1987 C-Tech Leopard 2A4 gets added. The C-Tech Leopard 2A4 get DM33, perhaps having DM23 stock. Gaijin could have modelled the collimator as a little nod to us historical nerds that know about it, an Easter egg for us to find. It doesn't affect the tank at all. I've no clue what a collimator is or does in real life, someone will have to let me know in the comments, but it certainly doesn't do anything in game. Or Gaijin could have modelled the collimator for one very specific reason. You may remember in the last video when I said that, unfortunately there would be nothing for Germany to have at this new battle rating of 10.3 we've created. This was because the Leopard 2A4 we currently have, for all intents and purposes a Leopard 2A1, is a 10.0 and balanced, while the 1987 C-Tech 2A4 with DM33 would be a balanced 10.7, nothing in between to sit at 10.3. Thing is, the current Leopard 2A4 we have, the B-Tech variant with the DM33 shell, would be a balanced 10.3. Considering that the collimator means this is a 1994 tank, it could get DM33, and this would put it on par with the IPM1 with M833 and corrected armour, the Type 90 with its own corrections, and the T80BV with its own 3BM32 depleted uranium APFSDS. This convenient balancing opportunity could have been the exact reason Gaijin modelled our tank with the collimator, so that it could get DM33 at a later date, when we are ready for 10.3 tanks. This, however, would mean that Germany would go from having nothing at 10.3 to having nothing at 10.0, unless the Leopard 2A1 were added at 10.0. This in itself would be okay, the Leopard 2A1 matching the M1 Abrams and T80B, Leopard 2A4 with B-Tech and DM33 at 10.3 alongside the IPM1 and T80BV and Type 90, and the Leopard 2A4 with C-Tech and DM33 at 10.7 alongside the M1A1 and T80U. But it does mean that we have a whole other Leopard 2 to grind through, and one that's functionally identical to the one we got in patch 1.79, along with having 2 Leopard 2A4s, which would just be a tad confusing to all the non-history nerds out there. Either way, Britain at least is skipping 10.3, so I don't think it'd be too harmful for Germany to skip that battle rating either, but let me know your own thoughts in the comments. And that's going to be basically it for this video, discussing why the Leopard 2A4 doesn't currently have DM33 and what would change if it got it. Please leave your thoughts on everything I've said in the comments, what you think about the different options available for this tank. I do understand that what I've said here might be a wee bit confusing, so if you are confused, don't hesitate to ask questions in the comments. I do try to read all of them. Or come onto my Discord and ask me there. Next video, we're going to discuss the Leopard A1A1's current situation, and after that, it'll be the turn of the Challenger 1. Once I've corrected all these vehicles and kind of set the stage, we're going to do one big video talking about how we might receive and balance new top tier tanks, like the Leopard 2A5 and M1A2 Abrams. That video will take all of these ones into account and will likely be a week away, so get excited. Anyway, please leave a like if you enjoyed this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and come follow me at all the links in the description below. Remember, there's that Patreon link if you want to help me make more videos like this in future, as it does take a significant amount of time and effort. But for now, always remember, keep your bagpipes to hand, your kilt on, and I will see you next video.